Alright, I'm going to show you how to use the pencil tool in Illustrator. The pencil tool is activated by the letter N and it lives in the toolbox just underneath the paintbrush. So just like in Photoshop, paintbrush is B in Illustrator and the pencil tool in Illustrator is N. Okay, so the pencil tool works on the stroke or the color of the stroke. So we need to have a stroke color active before we can actually start using the pencil and see anything. Now the pencil tool is pretty neat because when you start drawing with it, by default it allows you the option to recraft your line. You'll notice that when your pencil cursor is a certain distance away from the line, you'll get a little cross at the bottom right hand side of it. It's letting you know that you can't redraw that line, that you're going to create a new one if you start drawing next to it. But if you hover close enough to the line, you'll see that X disappears and it lets you know that you're going to be able to redraw that line. So that's how that works. Now there may be instances where you create a sort of a shape and you want to join it up. In that case, you need to select the shape itself, choose the pencil tool. It will automatically sense the end of whichever point you hover over, and when you get closer to the other point, just hold down the command or the control key and it will join that up, and then you can fill it with a color. Now the pencil tool also has a couple of other options inside it. One of the options it has is a smoother. So you can, with a line selected, you can choose this smoothing option and you can go over the top of your lines and you can sort of smooth them out. Another neat little thing that the pencil tool has going for it is the path eraser feature. Now you have to have a path or a line selected before you can use this, but what it allows you to do is to delete little chunks out of your line, just like you would if you were erasing. So that's quite neat. The other thing you can do with your pencil tool is double click on it and have a look at the options. So there are some options that you can use to adjust the tolerances and the detail that you can get with the lines. So your fidelity controls the frequency of anchor points. The higher the value, the smoother and less complex the path. Just remember, it works from 0.5 to 20 pixels. At the lowest point, you're going to have a much more sharp angle. So by default, it's set to 2.5 because it's assuming that you'd want quite a few points drawn, since it's kind of mimicking the marks that you would put down by hand, especially if you're using a stylus and a tablet. So the next option we have is smoothness. Now if you knew that you wanted to apply some watercolor type effects to that line work afterwards and you didn't want to have too many sharp jagged edges, you'd probably choose a smoothness amount higher because it will result in a smoother path. And the opposite of a lower tolerance, it would create more irregularities and preserve them. So the preset value is for the smoothness to be set to 0 because it assumes that you want to put in quite a lot of detail when you're drawing. Now the next option is to fill new pencil strokes. So what does this do if we select it? Well, if we choose a color in advance, we have to select OK first. If we select a color in advance and place it in our fill section, we can then draw shapes with fills already preset, but just be warned that this is drawing open paths, not closed ones. So you will want to do this trick by holding down your pencil tool on one side and connecting on the other. So if you do happen to choose that option, just remember to go back and hover over one of the points, draw towards the other one, hold down Command or Control and close that path off. Now I'll show you how some of these different pencil lines look when they have different presets applied to them. You can create your own presets for brushes, for instance. I'm going to create a few pencil lines. Actually, I might even create something that looks like a letter, B. Actually, it's not a very good one. I'll make an A so we can see what hand lettered text would look like if we were to do it this way. You'd probably want to set this to a smoother tolerance if you were doing hand lettering. That way you wouldn't get any jagged areas occur as you're applying different brushes to them. So here we've got underneath the window menu, if you go down to the brush libraries, into artistic, you can choose from calligraphic, chalk, charcoal pencil, ink, paintbrush, watercolor. I haven't actually tried scroll pen, but today I'm going to try some chalk and charcoal pencil. Now I can't go through all of these, but I can give you a bit of a look at what some of them will do. So if you draw a sketch, for instance, by hand, and you ink it out in Illustrator just with your path tool or with your line tool, then you can come along later on and you can apply these different types of charcoal effect lines. And the handy part about this is that you can change the characteristics of them. Now we're going to have a look at the ink, artistic ink options. So I'll just apply a couple of these, and I'll apply this to one of the letters. We'll just have a little look through and see what might look good applied to these letters. We've got a sharp point here that's making that look really unattractive, so if I choose Shift and C, I can choose my convert anchor point tool and turn that into a round. I can grab handles and pull handles out of that. So just remember that whatever you're drawing relies on the same Bezier curves and anchor point system. So whatever you're drawing, you can edit in that fashion. We've also got these uniform options at the top here that Illustrator ships with. If you want to duplicate a shape or an object in Illustrator, just hold Option and drag, and I can duplicate them. And then I'm going to apply different types of profiles to them so you can see what they look like. Some will work better than others depending on where these Bezier curves occur or how many points you've got. You can just delete some points if something looks a little bit odd, or Shift and C to drag out a brand new set of balanced Bezier curves.